NRECA, for those who don't know, is the trade association representing 960 rural electric cooperatives who provide electricity in all or parts of 83% of the counties in 47 states in the U.S. We are not-for-profit, consumer-owned, consumer-controlled private businesses. In a real sense, our stockholders are the very people we provide electricity to. One of the things that you heard, and I guess it was from Jack Gerard, from several others, the words reliability and affordability, with particular emphasis on affordability. Cooperatives have to worry about those two things like other utilities. But it's particularly difficult for us for a couple reasons. One is our customer base. We basically supply a lot of the poorest areas in America, including Appalachia region, also the lower Mississippi River Delta region, many Native American reservations, and candidly rural America, where the income, per capita income, is a lot lower than it is in urban areas. All told, our per capita income of our consumers is more than 20% below the national average. So obviously affordability is very important to us. And it's also, because of the nature of our low consumer density, it's difficult for us to be affordable. Let me give you a couple numbers. We serve only 11% of the consumers in the United States. But in order to serve those consumers, we had to build 42% of every distribution mile in the nation. So as you might expect, that makes your cost effectiveness a little bit tough. We spend a lot of time, as all utilities do, on affordability. Three things I want to mention to you, and I realize I'm standing between you and cocktails. Note to self, don't be last on the last panel. First thing is, as Joy mentioned, we're very concerned about EPA's new generation rule, and it basically eliminates the building of new coal plants, period, QED, end of story. But what's really upsetting to us is we expect, and hope we don't get it, but we expect a similar kind of bad choice in terms of the CO2 rules for existing plants. Now, why is this important to us? Well, we've been spending billions of dollars on upgrading the pollution systems on these coal plants that, by the way, we built in response to federal law. And those of you who are old enough, and as I certainly am, remember the Industrial Fuel Use Act of 1978 that said that by 1990 you could not use natural gas to generate electricity. So what did the co-op folks do as good Americans? We rushed out and built coal and nuclear plants. And now we're being told, well, why did you do that? So there's a little irritation here. We're fighting legislatively, regulatorily, and we're also kind of reminding the president, excuse me, we sided with you when you said we needed all of the above energy policy. We do. We need that diversity that David was talking about. And one way not to get it is, in fact, to rule out, through EPA regulations, the use of existing coal-fired plants that are basically the more modern plants, the bigger plants, the ones that are being, where pollution is being better controlled than in the old, smaller plants. So that's issue one. The second issue is an issue that's been talked about a little bit here. My friend here next to me, don't hurt me now. And that is, we're working with DOE, we're working with solar industry folks, we're working with our members to find a sustainable way to integrate cost-effective renewables into our distribution system. We've got to find a way to do that. So far, the ways that have been suggested wind up having people without renewables heavily subsidizing people with renewables. Okay? That's the reality of what's been going on. You heard, I think it was Hal Quinn, mention energy poverty. What he was talking about is Germany. Can you imagine one of the most industrialized countries in the world? They're talking about energy policy, and why? It's because the electricity rate is 3.5 to 4 times higher than it is here in the United States, and this is a fairly recent thing. Now, is this because of renewable subsidies in and of itself? No. There are a lot of reasons for it. Their natural gas is higher, $11, $12, $13 versus $4. They have higher taxes. But what they've done in order to encourage deployment of renewables, okay, is to have very high feed-in tariffs and other such mechanisms that heavily subsidize. For instance, in 2007 or 6, correct me if I'm wrong, the FIT, the feed-in tariff for solar collectors in Germany, was 57.1 cents per kilowatt hour. So if you put a solar collector on your rooftop, the utility had to pay 57.1 cents to you for each kilowatt hour that was produced. Well, as you might expect over time as this grew, and the good news is it did grow, so we're learning because of that. We wound up that in 2013, German consumers paid $27 billion US for electricity with a market value of 3. Now, when you go through and make the analysis happen, you find out that the subsidy, the direct subsidy through these, the feed-in tariffs and others, amounts to 7 cents a kilowatt hour. Now, as you heard from Hal, I think he used the 37 or 38 cent kilowatt hour. Clearly, there is a lot of things that are making German electricity prices high, but 7 cents of it are those subsidies. And obviously, high gas prices and high taxes are other ways. We think we can do better. We think we can find ways to do it. You're exactly right, Tom. The cost of particularly solar collectors, PV is coming down, and it's coming down dramatically. And we're going to find a way to use it in a cost-effective manner that doesn't involve these big subsidies. We've got to figure out a way to do it. It's coming, and we're going to figure it out. As a matter of fact, our association, we annually, I think like APPA does, has a resolution process. Our members resoluted. We have a resolution that said, NRECA, go out there and find a way to cost-effectively integrate cost-effective renewables into our system. So we're with you in spirit. We're just not quite there yet on exactly how to do it. The third thing we want to talk about was cybersecurity. Joy handled that. I've got a fourth one. I want to tell you that what David said about the current competitive market not being structured in a way to do the two most important things it should be doing. Incenting the new resources, okay, and valuing diversity. We have been saying to our friends at FERC for 10 years now, you cannot incent long-term resources with short-term markets. It doesn't work. Wall Street has said that over and over and over again. To my friends at FERC, and unfortunately John left, to this point it's fallen on deaf ears. We will continue the crusade because we think it's awfully important to value diversity, to incent long-term assets in a way that does not cause so much uncertainty that nobody wants to take the risk. This is a very expensive business. Whether you do it through renewables or central station electricity, it's expensive, okay? The capital costs are very high. We cannot have this uncertainty. The uncertainty just drives up price.